Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. And this is a paid request for Shawn. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. I'll get to as soon as I can. And this is one of the various requests from Shawn for commentaries. I apologize for how long it's taking me. But on the fortunate side, he did send a lot, and he's been very cool with it. He hasn't been mean or nasty about it. He's been very patient. I appreciate him. I thank you for his generosity. I know there's a few more I still need to do for him. I'll get those out to you as soon as I can. But this time is John Carpenter's Vampires that we're doing a commentary on. And before I start, if anyone wants to request any type of videos, whether it be a topic, reaction, a commentary, a review, a re-review, a reaction, random thoughts, commentaries, I already said that, but streams, tier list rankings, whatever the case may be, feel free to do so. I'll get to it as soon as I can. And for those who sent them, thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, as I'm getting settled here, long story short, I do like this film. I don't think... A lot of people kind of either sleep on the film, they don't really mention the film, they kind of forget about the film, or they don't really like the film. I thought this is pretty good. I do remember being a tad disappointed in the film when I first saw it, just because I thought the finale could have been a lot bigger, a lot more action-packed, a lot more to it, but I don't know, there's something about it. Like when they killed all the vampires, I guess I respected a bit more of a battle. But I mean, to be fair, John Carpenter, he's made good action films. But I mean, if you're talking about like action scenes, he's not John Woo or John McTiernan or James Cameron. Although John Carpenter is my favorite director. But anyway, like I said, while I do wish the third act there's a bit more to it, I still do like the film, mostly because of James Woods. Also has a good score. But anyway, I'm 2 minutes in, almost 3 minutes. Let's get into it. I'm paused at the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Did not see this in the theater, Sally. I saw this when it came to DVD because I'm a John Carpenter fan. I love The Thing, my favorite. Starman, Assault Precinct 13, Big Trouble in Little China, They Live, In the Mouth of Madness. So, wow, new Carpenter film, great. And then James Woods, great actor. Always loved him as an actor. He was in The Hard Way, Videodrome, Cop, True Believer. All those films I enjoyed. So James Woods getting the star in a John Carpenter movie about vampires. I thought, well, that's really cool. I remember the trailer too. The trailer had Marilyn Manson on it. The Beautiful People. Hey, what you say? I think about it every night or day. Now, granted, there's other trailers they alter it because they don't want to pay the money for using that song, but you can find it on YouTube. And that's the trailer that got me hyped. Now we have great John Carpenter music, which I remember I used to have the score when I collected CDs. Sadly, a lot of those CDs are gone now, but I mean, I love the score, but I'm a big John Carpenter fan when it comes to the score. And I would say this would be my top 5 favorite vampire films. I mean, I always say my favorites are From Dusk Till Dawn, Fright Night, The Lost Boys. I kind of stop there usually, but I'm really thinking about like favorite vampire movies. This would probably be in the top 5. Because James Woods just so much fun in this movie. Like, this is a cool helicopter shot. Going over the landscape. And then we have our character here, Jack Crow. And you tell, I know one of the reasons Carpenter did this is it was closest he got to make it a Western. And you tell from the music, he threw in Western elements to it. Now I know James Woods, like he took the role because he never got to do something like this. I mean, he did horror before. He was in Cat's Eye, which is a good one, Videodrome, but nothing like this. And then you get to work with Carpenter. And he said he liked working with him because John Carpenter said he had no issues with working with James because they would do one take his way. It's okay. I'll let you have it take your way just as long as we do one take my way. So he played pretty fair. I love this piece of score. Yeah, that definitely has a Western element. As we have our vampire hunters here. Sandy Teen, I believe that's Carpenter's wife. The novel, I never read the novel Vampires. I like the dollar signs and S on it, but never read it. Now I remember hearing, I read, I should say, I heard. I don't know if this is true, but I read that originally this was going to be a film that was a Dolph Lundgren film, directed by Russell Mulcahy. But things didn't work out, and then those two worked together on Silent Trigger, which I liked that film. What year was Silent Trigger? I know I reviewed it not that long ago, and I forgot. 96. Yeah, because this was in development for a while, for quite a few years. Because the novel was, what, 92? And there was talks for a while of doing a movie, but then that didn't come up. That didn't come about. I think at one point they wanted Sam Raimi to do the film. And then they eventually did this. Now, I also read, supposedly, they wanted Dolph Lundgren for the villain. And he said, nah, I don't want to play a villain right now. Although, I think that's a mistake. I mean, Dolph, come on now, man. I don't even know what you were doing at this time period, but it's a John Carpenter film, dude. You played villains in, like, much shittier films like Stash House. Like, you don't want to be a villain in this movie, but that crappy movie Stash House. But that's if that's true. That might have been... How I remember at one point someone said, oh, Dolph was going to be Leatherface in the Chainsaw Massacre 2003 film, because that got on the internet. I don't know if that's true either. I love to think that was true, but I don't know. You can't always believe what you read on the internet, but I'm just saying that's what's floated on the internet. I guess if you ever meet Dolph, you could ask him. Now we have our hunters here. We got Daniel Baldwin. Now, another thing I read that supposedly Alec Baldwin was supposed to do that role, but then things changed, and how about my brother Daniel? But imagine how much different a movie that would be if Alec Baldwin was the Daniel role, if Dolph Lundgren was the villain. That definitely would have been interesting, I'll say that. So, of course, we have our establishing scene to show what this team can do. And I think it's, I think the guy to the right, with the guy, I think one of them is Terry Hayuki Tagawa, Shane Sun from the 90s Mortal Kombat film. I think it's that guy, like, with the goggles behind James Woods. I think with the, he's got short hair. Yeah, I think he's like pointing his gun right at James Woods' head. The way he's standing there is like this. That would be funny if there was a joke like, "Do you not point that in my fucking head?" But I kind of like this. It's like a SWAT team. Like a SWAT team dealing with vampires. Part of me wishes we could have seen more of this group going through like multiple vampire nests. But I guess, we got... Because when it... I will say when it gets to just the few left... Daniel Baldwin is there. Like, he's okay. Sheryl Crow... not Sheryl Crow, the singer, Cheryl Lee. It'd be different if Sheryl Crow. Cheryl Lee, I mean, But yeah, James Woods. I also have Tim Gwiney, as the new recruit coming up later on. I like him. I think those two work well together. But yeah, I do wish we could see a little bit more with some of these other people in the group. But yeah, I know one of these Mercs is Terry Hayuti Tagawa. Again, Shane Sun from the 90s Mortal Kombat movie. Of course, you kind of wonder, is there a way to just blow up the whole place? And then that way, if there's vampires there, they'd have to come out anyway, or they'd be burning anyway. I mean, you would think they'd be able to get, explosives, and it's the middle of nowhere, so just blow up the whole place. And then, clear out the rubble, and whoever comes out, take care of business. But now that guy to the our right, on the right screen, well, okay, we'll see. They got the bigger guy with the beard, and later on, he's the guy that gets stabbed, and the vampire goes up and he splits in half. That guy's been in a lot of stuff. Let's see if we see him in this scene here. That guy there with the cigarette in his mouth. That guy with the cigarette in his mouth, his name is Mark Boone Jr. He's been in a lot of stuff, man. He was, I think, a dirty cop in Batman Begins. Was he? I know he was a dirty cop in Too Fast, Too Furious. He had bit roles. He was one of the bad guys in Die Hard 2. I think he was in the escalator scene where Robert Patrick in them. He's one of those guys that pops up a lot. Oh, he works at a pawn shop in this. So he's a bit role in this. He's in a lot of stuff. If you see enough movies in that era, you'll recognize him at least in something. And yeah, that is the guy with the red, the goggles with the red in it. That's Terry Hayuti Tagawa. But I do think this is a strong opening. Like you have, you know, how these guys deal with this, what their normal work is, and to shoot the shit out of the vampire, to stun it at least. Kind of interesting routine where it's like, okay, you hook them, you drag them out, and bring them there. Open wide, baby. Oh, there's another one. This guy's pissed. Nice squibs in that. Of course, the effects are done by TMB, which is Kurtzman, Nicotero, and Berger, who worked together, I think, the first time, the three of them in Evil Dead 2. And they worked with Carpenter quite a bit. I think they worked on In the Mouth of Madness. They worked on, quite a few movies. And of course, TMB, they did a lot of effects work throughout the years. I like that little effect we saw before, him shooting the hand off. That's what I do appreciate about Carpenter. He does use a lot of practical effects. Like that stake to the head, that's definitely a practical effect. And then pulling it off, is it? Not only ugly, it smells bad. Yeah, James Woods just brings so much energy to this role that it will. I would love to have seen him play another role like this. I think that would have been cool to see. I know there. I mean, I guess technically you would say there's sequels. There's the one with John Bon Jovi, and there's another one, but not really. Now, Sally, we don't get to see a whole lot of this. But I guess, you could say the budget. I mean, they had $20 million. I mean, $20 million seems like a lot to me, but I don't know what these theatrical productions. Maybe that goes by quicker than you think, but I don't know. But just to be fair, I mean, maybe they feel it'd be redundant because they have this tried and true way of doing it where they hook up, dry them out, right into the sunlight, and there you go. Damn, they state the hell out of him. He's like, okay, I'm done. I'll lie here. Just drive me off. Go ahead. That guy there in the middle, that guy there who does this, he's holding the spear to his right. I know I recognize that guy. He's one of the gang members in Predator 2. Part of the El Scorpio. Yeah, the one guy, El Scorpio is ready. He's one of the guys in the room where the Predator kills. He's not El Scorpio himself, but he's one of those gang members. I'm not sure if he just killed outside by the cops or inside by the Predator. I'm trying to remember. I know he's part of that gang. Oh yeah, that's where the vampire, which is Thomas Ian Griffith. Come in and wreck the entire place. I will say that's one thing. While I do like the film, I don't think it's a perfect movie. It probably would not be in my. I don't know if it'd be in my top 10 favorite. Because, okay, I know my top 10 favorite Carpenter films would be The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Assault on Precinct 13. I know I put A Steve from New York somewhere up there, and In the Mouth of Madness. I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, there's so many. But yeah, I know that The Thing, Soul in Prison 13, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Soul in Prison 13, The Fog I really like, and In the Mouth of Madness I really like. They Live, Starman. Again, I'm not sure this would make my top 10. But James Woods is easily the MVP on this. I mean, it would be interesting if this film had not starred James Woods and he didn't give this kind of like just fun performance, I wonder if my feelings on this would be different. I think it might be like it was like kind of meh movie. Just I think one issue with the film is, weird enough, it seems like it cuts corners. I know that doesn't make sense, but once in a while you have a scene that doesn't fully play out and go for the cojones and leaves it a little bit lacking. Like it's not bad, but it's like, for example, that opening. Okay, they kill the two vampires, but okay, we don't see them hunt the rest down. But it's like, cut away, they get pulled out. Cut away, they get pulled out. Cut away, they get pulled out. It's, you're missing some of the other stuff. Or like the Thomasine Griffith comes in, he starts killing them. But then it has this weird fade thing where he kind of does this, and then does this, and then you're kind of missing some of the little details. And it seems like there's a lot of people in that room that he would wreck house, and it seems like some bits are cut. Same with the finale. Like, imagine if Thomasine Griffith went in here and did what that scene in Maniac Cop 2, where the cop goes and arrests the entire police station. Or even, later on, Malignant, which that's finale, that police station scene. So it feels like something that, there could have been a little bit more that happened to it. But that's a cool, simple little shot of having him in the corner there. But yeah, Cheryl Lee is this woman here, and she is known for being Laura Palmer in Twin Peaks. Of course, Thomasine Griffith here, he was in The Karate Part 3 as the main villain. I, not too long ago, saw Excessive Force, which someone says the end of Blu-ray in the Germany, but I don't know when. I don't know if it'll be a good picture release, whatever, but he's good in that. That's a fun movie. Excessive Force is very entertaining, fairly underrated. Deserves a Blu-ray in the U.S. Here's where Mark Boone Jr. is going to get it. I would say the best kill in the movie. Definitely the goriest. Because he did like split in half like a wishbone. I thought that looked really gnarly. I thought we were going to see a lot more of that type of stuff, but we see like this right here. Ooh. Like that, look at that, man. That looks really cool. But see, it has like these weird like dissolves. Which always just look weird, these dissolves. I don't know why. There's a little bit of gore there. Punching a hole through someone. Nice effect there. This poor lady just getting shot to shit. See, like, I know he was swinging his arms, but I already missed him killing Terry Tagawa's character. I don't know where he was jumping to. I guess they did that. uh, Big mistake. That was a nice little bit showing the chunks hit the ceiling. Like, you know, you don't have an issue with MPA, so you do little bits like that to sell the effect. Talk about a little bit of human compassion, huh? Leave the bitch. Of course, how ironic, Sun God. It's a motel with God in the title. Ain't no God here today or tonight. Nice little shot there. Little POV. Right in the head. I don't know if you need it. Ah! If you heard that. Ah! Ay! Oh shit. A little bit of flip. There you go. Still good job on the stuntmen for doing that. I don't think we're going to see a lot of action for a while, though, after this. From what I remember. It has been a while since I've seen this, to be fair. Because while I do like the film, it's not a film I go back and rewatch a whole lot. Because I think because, like, listen, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was going to have, like, a lot more of a propulsive action tempo and pace to it. It It is crazy though. Like when you hear Daniel Baldwin, there are times he really does sound like his brother Alec. Like Daniel is, he really is like if you took Alec and Stephen Baldwin and put them together. Like his eyes are a little bit like Stephen Baldwin. His hair is like Alec. His voice is a little bit like Alec. He has a little bit of the squeezed face like Stephen. You can tell he's a Baldwin. But he's like the guy like everyone forgets. Like Stephen Baldwin is like, okay, that guy who did Biodome and things like that. Alec, he shot somebody. But this guy, he was in Harley Davidson, The Marlboro Man. He, I guess, had a radio station in Syracuse in 2017 to 2019. He was on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, admitting to a struggle with cocaine addiction in 2009. Is wow, $1.33 for diesel gas? How times have changed. Is that like $1.21 for normal? Damn. I wish it was that. It's not like this is 1985 or 1972. This is 1998. And how times have changed. I think that's Frank Darabont. Is that Frank Darabont? I gotta look this up. I swear this guy here, guys, I swear that's Frank Darabont. I gotta look this up because if it is, that's hilarious. I didn't know that before. I looked at the full cast. That sure as hell seems like Frank Darabont. It is. Wow. I didn't realize that was Frank Darabont. Now, for those who don't know, Frank Darabont, he helped write the Blah remake from 1988. He helped write Diamond on Street Part 3, the Dream Warriors, because he worked with Chuck Russell. So he worked on the screenplay for Elm Street 3 and The Blob, and then he went on to direct The Shawshank Redemption and the Green Mile and The Mist and all this other stuff. So, man, I did like I said, that's cool. That's Frank Darabont. I want to know the story on how that came about. There is a Blu-ray. I have it, but I didn't look at the features again. I do remember it was cool that John Carpenter and James Woods were interviewed. I would like to watch that documentary again. But, you want to pull out? Yeah, that's what she said. If you want to pull out, go ahead. Like I said, James Woods, I just love the thrust and energy he gives to the movie. See here, it looks like he killed a lot more people than I saw him do. I mean, there are some cool gore gags in there, but it felt a little bit underwhelming. Maybe that's just me. So now it's him killing the team in case somehow they turn and they don't want that. So I guess the cop died as well? I didn't... Because the cop car's out there. I didn't even see the cop die. Must completely miss that. I probably did. That's really, I don't remember the cop getting killed. Probably when he was just doing this, and then it cuts away to James Woods and stuff. But yeah, I mean, obviously James Woods is somewhat proud of this because he did do an interview for it. I don't know, just something about James Woods, like I've never seen him give a bad performance. Like each time I've seen him do stuff, it always felt like he was fully invested with it. I don't ever remember seeing a movie that he half-assed something. At least that's just me. Because if I pull up his filmography from Videodrome is one of my favorite Cronenberg movies. Cat's Eye I think is one of the better anthology films. Cop is a bit of an underrated... Well, Cop may feel fairly standard, but he's very good, and the ending is very good. Look at this explosion. Just... Again, you have to try not to flinch as much as possible as this huge explosion happens behind him. I think he did the best he could. It'd obviously be a one-take thing, because how much it would take to build that up to blow up. I think James Woods definitely did the best he could. That was all done in camera for real, which I appreciate. But yeah, True Believer, The Hard Way, Digstown, Casino, Any Given Sunday, this film, done a lot of cool stuff throughout the years. I don't know, for some reason I keep thinking if this was in Carpenter's prime of like 1987, 1988, I have a feeling it would have been maybe a bit more atmospheric and maybe you would have got more for your buck, so maybe a bit more action heavy. I don't know, maybe that, I don't know. Yeah, I gotta say to be fair, Daniel Bowen does a pretty decent job. He does a pretty decent job in this. Like I said, I know there was talks. I mean, they did a sequel with John Bon Jovi, but there was talks of like I don't know if Carpenter would have produced it or what, but that James Woods would return, but then like they would kill him off or something else, something stupid like that. And I'm like, why would you do that? Because I remember in the interview, like James Woods talked a little bit of, you tell he wasn't really interested in that, which I don't blame him. Like, why would you do that? That would make no sense whatsoever. There'd be no benefit to that. So I'm glad he didn't do it. I mean, he's the best thing in your movie. That's why no one gives a flying fuck about the John Bon Jovi one or whatever the fuck the other one was. No one gives a rat's ass about Vampires Los Muertos, or whatever the hell it's called. I know Thomas Ian Griffiths interviewed on that too, and he seemed like there was other people maybe that they were trying to get for the role of the head vampire, but he got it, and he seemed very appreciative of it. Maximilian Schell as the Cardinal. Now I remember him from the Black Hole, the Disney movie. He was, I guess you would call the main human villain, because Anthony Perkins and was it, I think Robert Forster and them, like they land on this station and then they meet Maximilian Schell and he has all these robots and he's a bit nuts. But yeah, I always remember him as the villain in that. He's done a lot of other stuff too. See, again, he makes it seem like this guy is unkillable, he's unstoppable. But the way the scene played out is he took a few shots. Jimmy, shot him a few times, but I guess that's his point. But I don't know. It just seemed like in other movies it seemed a little bit more impressive. Maybe that's just me. And they act like you're the first one who's seen him escape. I'm like, it wasn't much. Pretty much, he stood there saying his name, left, then shot him. Daniel Bowen shot him in the head. Now this guy is Tim Gwynny. Tim Gwynny. He, I do like his character as well. He was in. the Dolph Lundgren film Men of War before this as one of the mercenaries helping Dolph. He was also the doctor working with the female doctor in Blade, the first one. Like the first time we see her, she has a colleague, and he's the not him, but the other guy, the priest, is the was the other doctor in that in Blade. But I'm sure James Woods took this role because, it's not many times he got to be the author or the lead of like this action hero, anti-hero badass lead. I mean, this seems like Kurt Russell got it, and Steve from New York, or it'd be like Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. I will say the John Carpenter music definitely is appropriate for the scenes. But John Carpenter, man, he knows how to score a movie. I'll say that. It's always a pleasure to hear John Carpenter music. That's kind of one of the joys of seeing a new John Carpenter film is what kind of music he's going to put into it. That's why I was so disappointed. One of the main reasons disappointed in what the fuck, The Ward. It's like, oh, and Carpenter didn't even do music for the film. But yeah, The Ward sucks. I hate The Ward. So yeah, we're pretty much having some exposition scenes. We have the cardinal, we have the priest, we have stuff here with Daniel and the the hooker. Nice ass. She does have a nice ass. Beautiful. Did he have to get her naked? Now I'm wondering, like, why did he have to get her naked? Maybe the idea is that she was dirty and stuff, but do you really want your hand on her mouth? Like, she could bite you. I know she's not fully a vampire yet, but even then, couldn't she bite him and he still get maybe... Wouldn't he still get infected some way? Like, I wouldn't put my hand near her mouth in the first place. Okay, so he does explain that you cleaned her clothes and stuff. Cleaned her up, I should say. I'm laughing because I think this is a bit where James was going to be giving shit to the priest. You got a little bit of mahogany, huh? You got a bit of wood? Actually, you know what? Now I can't put this in my top five favorite vampires because Blade and Blade 2 gotta be in the top five. In fact, if I put, you know what? I always keep thinking of Blade 2 as just superhero movie. Like, they are vampire films, so honestly, I would say From Dusk Till Dawn, Fright Night, Blade 2, Blade 1, then The Lost Boys are my top five favorite vampire films, so. Kiss the shit out of them. Was it you? Because later on, he's like, well, I was kicking the shit out of you. Did you get a little bit of wood, huh? Did you get a little bit of mahogany? That stuff always got me. Because he just style you don't expect. That's why I'm wondering if that was ad lib or not. It might have been on the commentary Carpenter said, or it might be in the features. I don't know, but Black Cross. Vampires walk in the sunlight. Oh, here you go. Well, let's get to your ass back there. I'd give you wood. I'm just fucking with you, Padre. Forget about it. So I was listening to all this change because that to me is what really works in the film. But see, I was saying there's not a lot of action. Like, we're 45 minutes in, and other than getting the vampires and then the team getting killed, which and then that little car chase. Yeah, I really don't want to see anything. I think till the into the third act of the film. There may be some of that I forgot. To be fair, I mean, instead with Cheryl Lee and Danny Baldwin, it is what it is. I could take her or leave it. Like, Daniel Baldwin's not doing a bad job. Even Cheryl Lee, if you want to call Cheryl Crow, it's just just kind of there. And maybe that's why this film has a bit of a lukewarm reception. Like I said, I don't think it's that bad of a film. I liked it. But let me look up John Carpenter film, his filmography. See if I can think of like what my top 10 would be of Carpenter. So, looking at this list. Well, the thing is, I mean, most of these I like. I don't like Dark Star, Memoirs of Invisible Man, The Ward. Those are really the only like theatrical movies of his I don't like. Well, The Ward, yeah. Yeah, The Ward's the worst in my opinion. If The Thing's number 1, Big Trouble in Little China's number 2, Assault on Precinct 13's number 3. We'll put number 4 in The Mouth of Madness, number 5, The Fog. Number 6, Escape from New York. Number 7, They Live. Number 8, number 8, Prince of Darkness. Number 9, Starman. Number 10, maybe Halloween. Maybe even Escape from LA, honestly. I don't hate Escape from LA. The effect, I mean, that's been this. Okay, if someone's asked me which would you rather watch, this or Escape from LA, I would probably say Escape from LA because it's still Stay Plissken, kicked some ass. And you got Steve Buscemi, you got Pam Grier, you got Peter Fonda, you got a bit more happening. Stacy Teach. Yeah, I would say Escape from LA. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. That this probably would not be in my top 10 Carpenter films. Maybe I remember liking this more than I thought. I like this more than I really do. I thought I liked this more than I really do, I guess. Light is the appropriate light. Like maybe like a 3 out of 5 star movie the more I'm thinking about it, but let's see, it's not that Daniel Baldwin and Cheryl Lee's doing a bad job. It's just kind of like a meh. Her whole connection thing, meh. You know what also may have hurt this film? This came out the same year as Blade. Because Blade came out. What was the release date of Blade? That came out August 1998. So 2 months. Oh yeah, he did some decent point of view here, shown as her telepathic link. But think about that. This came out 2 months after Blade. So the audience, they see this high octane, crazy, the open sea alone of Blade. You kicking vampire ass, taking names. Wesley Snipes being a badass hero. And then they see this, which is not as crazy as Blade. So the audience, they see this hyper active, in a good way, vampire film and Blade. Then they see this and they must go, man, this seems a lot, not a lot more confined, but I mean, I gotta understand, it's also a budget with $25 million less. Kind of interesting this is done in one shot. And I don't know, this scene, I do remember sort of his reaction. Ah, ah. Which mean it would hurt. Although to be honest, I would have just kept her tied up until James Woods got back. But, that's what it is, Gotta have him get bit eventually. Man, if he kept her tied up, waited another 5 minutes, then would have been fine. So I'm looking at reviews. Now, apparently, the film got a 42% Rotten Tomatoes. Nothing but one showdown after another. I mean, well, not really. There's not a whole lot of showdowns in the movies. I don't know what they're talking about. Cinema Store, which surveys audience get when they come out of the theater, give us reports grades. Usually those are easy to get. This got a D plus. Again, I think with audiences, Blade was a big hit. It came out 2 months before. That's the last big vampire movie to come out, and people were so jazzed up and excited and adrenaline pumped from that when they go to this, when there's really not much action, when it's there, it's nothing going to approach Blade. It's going to, people don't feel a bit like, what? You know, oh, I heard all this stuff about John Carpenter. What's going on here? Because, like I said, it's not a lot of action. It's not crazy action in terms of the style. I wouldn't say this is an atmospheric movie. Although, funny enough, Gene Siskel apparently was a huge fan of the film. A high action homage to westerns and classic horror that actually has a unique story and masterful cinematography. I do agree with him. It was cool that it starred an all-adult cast without any teenagers. Daniel Baldwin won the 1998 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards for Worst Supporting Actor. But James Woods won Best Actor at the Saturn Awards. That's the awards for fantasy, sci-fi, horror, and James Woods won for Best Acting. Which makes sense to me. Ooh, nice decapitation there. Yeah, just 6.1 IMDb. The film that convinced Carpenter to stay in directing, feeling burnt out after a string of critical financial failures, Carpenter had lost his love from filmmaking, considered going to retirement following the failure of Steve from L.A. It stopped being fun. When he got the job for Vampires, he was intrigued by the promise of making a horror western hybrid, something he had wanted since the 70s. Make one more movie. If it still isn't fun, retire. He would go on to heavily enjoy his time on directing Vampires. Then he did Ghost of Mars, then he did The Ward. And that's pretty much it, unless you want to talk like Masters of Horror episodes. Just before production began, the studio cut the budget by 2/3, and the filmmaker said to fiercely reworked the story to fit. According to the guy who wrote the novel, the finished film contained much of his dialogue and none of his plot. Interesting. Back when Russell Mulcahy was attached to direct, one possible idea was that the film would take place in a distant future where a decent amount of the human population had been turned to vampires, and vampire hunters are as abundant as police officers. The vampire hunters would use futuristic high-tech gadgets and equipment to hunt down the vampires who were planning to take over the world by transforming the Pope into one of them. Dolph was slated to play Jack Crow, while Willem Dafoe was being eyed out to play the vampire antagonist Valak. That would have been interesting. Russell Mulcahy definitely would have brought a sense of style to it. Terry Tagawa had an interview in Starlight saying he was unhappy with his role of the film. He tried speaking to John Carpenter several times about his character's backstory and stuff, but Carpenter rebuffed him. This left Tagawa feeling like he was a little more than a glorified stuntman. I mean, he was Sally. I don't remember him having any dialogue. He pretty much was behind. I mean, to be honest, in Carpenter's point of view, there's no reason to have a backstory motivation because he's just there as part of the team. You help kill vampires, then you're going to die. I mean, there's really no backstory motivation to be had. So to be fair, I don't know why Terry Tagawa took the role in the first place. Then, like, it would have said that in the script. Again, unless he was hired and then the budget was cut, they had to write all that shit out. But otherwise, they'd be like, well, Terry Tagawa, why'd you take the job in the first place? That would be my question. Now, it says in the credits, one of these is Chad Stahelski, one of the masters. Like, one of the guys back there is Chad Stahelski, who was in, the co-director of John Wick and directed John Wick 2, 3, and 4. But yeah, apparently one of these guys in the back is Chad Stahelski. It's got good cinematography. I would say the cinematography in this film is real. I agree with Gene Siskel on that. The cinematography and some of the camera work is really nice. I like that they use practical effects. Thomasine Griffith has a nice look to him. James Woods, I guess, is the best part. Great music. So there's good elements there to make it a film I liked. It's just, it's missing that adrenaline shot right to the heart that it needed. Idea when you compare it to like From Dusk Till Dawn, which probably had the same budget as this, but you see what that film could do, or even Fright Night or The Lost Boys. Blade had a little bit more money, but listen, tell me what you want, okay? Tell me what you know. I'll buy you a beer and get you laid. It's a bad mistake. It's a bad mistake, See, when James Woods says that stuff, you buy it. And you can understand his thought process, like, the last time someone kept a secret was my father. For he was turned into a vampire, kept it a secret, killed his mom. He had to kill his own dad. See, yeah, this is the big mistake this film made. Again, even with 20 million, you think they could have done a bit. It's just the big part of the middle is a lot of kind of sitting and waiting for her to have these visions. sitting and waiting with a lot of this exposition. And also, it didn't help that 2 months before, we already had a story about vampires wanting to walk in the day. Just what happened in Blade. They kidnapped Blade, they get his blood, because they want to be daywalkers as well. Even with Steven Dorff, you'll put on the makeup on, he could somewhat be in the daytime, but okay, what's the premise of Blade? The vampires want to walk in the day. Here, the vampires want to walk in the day. That might have been Chad Stahelski, I don't know. Yeah, these months are getting their asses kicked, pal. They're getting the shit kicked out of them. Man, you guys should have had better protection than these months. Should have some kung fu months or something. I don't know why you thought these months would do anything. They're obviously not doing shit. They have nothing to protect or prepare. I mean, what were these priests going to use? Harsh language? We will protect the cross. From what? You can't protect... You couldn't protect it from a band camp. A cheerleading squad would get the shit out of these monks. What the hell? I mean, I don't mind some of the little backstory they have of the vampire. And I don't mind the idea of this black cross. You know, it's a MacGuffin, it's a plot point, an object that the bad guys want, and the good guys have to get to try to get away from the bad guys. Yeah, it's crazy. This film is not as good as I remember. It That was like back to it's okay. Like it's okay. Man, I have not seen this film fully. Like I remember when I got the Blu-ray and I looked at the features and I flipped through the film. It was one of those films I flipped through and then it's one of those couple films that I've seen before. I was got it mainly for the features, but I didn't really sit down and watch it. I think that was one of those. Sometimes you have a movie, life gets in the way. I'll get back to it, then I just didn't until now. But man, it does go very slow. I want to say it's a fairly slow moving film. It's kind of just like we get to the aftermath of one crime scene, we get to the aftermath of another crime scene. We're in a hotel room. She has telepathic this, telepathic that. Listen, I don't have one fuck of a good fight. James Woods, man, he is the MVP of this. Without him, I'll say this: without James Woods, this film would suck. I'm gonna put it out there. I mean, I said before, I'll say it again. I mean, when you come off of Blade 2 months before in August, and this comes out October, your Halloween season, unless you're like a hard, I'm sure like some hardcore John Carpenter fans were probably a bit disappointed in this. I did maybe they were expecting like a bit more like a dark, eerie atmosphere. So the idea is they already killed the entire town. I guess I think. See, and this seems like, oh man, that'd be such a cool thing where now these folks have to deal with like an army of vampires in this one town, or so they're not go from store to store and deal with vampires, or in the daytime. So in the daytime they have a little bit of even odds. Like they have the numbers, but they have the daylight. So it makes it a bit even odds on that. So they're going from store to store, but no, that wasn't the case. You're just waiting for James Woods to get to do some stuff as the Achi hero. So you want him to get some more ass. Like again, they're looking around this town. That'd be cool. Like, okay, there's a vampire, or something, hiding here, and then it's attacked, and it's like, okay, give some kind of a fight. So we have a guy who's turning. We got a Padre who's never killed a thing, and we got James Woods against 15 to 20 vampires, 7 masters, a super duper master, and a partridge in the pear tree. Sounds like even odds, right? Sounds like even odds. Maybe you do got called the Day Walker. I know people say this is a box office hit. I mean, if it cost 20 million and it made 20 million in the US, I don't know if that's really considered a hit. Because okay, you say you made 20 million, but then you got to account that a percentage of that goes to the movie theater. The studio doesn't get that full 20 million, which means they would have lost money. I mean, isn't the thing like you have to make double to break even? And this didn't do that. So I don't know. I would think this was a flop, but maybe that's just me. Like I said, Daniel Baldwin and Cheryl Lee doesn't do a bad job, but for some reason I just don't care a whole lot. Maybe because I'm just so much more intrigued by James Woods that I just want to see more of him and his character and concentrate more on him. Because it feels like a lot of times he just left it in the back for that Daniel Baldwin, Cheryl Lee stuff. But I mean, it's a lot cheaper to have scenes of two people talking than vampire stuff or action stuff and etc. And that's the thing. You even looked at like direct-to-video films, action films like Zero Tolerance and Deadly Outbreak, and like they have a lot more action spectacle in them, and even like Tremors 2 Aftershots, I would say a bit more happen compared to this. So, oh shit. Seems like he was stabbing in the stomach, not the heart. So yeah, Daniel Baldwin stabbing the female vampire, ready to drag her ass down. There you go. I do like the effects of the exploding vampires into the fiery blaze. I do like that. I think that looks pretty cool. So that's what, two down, and how many to go? Never learned how to drive. Gotta give him credit, with courage. See, in all aspects, she's so far gone, should kill her, but because he's now part vampire, going to be fully vampire, now he's sympathetic to her, what she's going through. I used to play soccer. This stuff between these two should have been much more of the film. I mean, part of me would have preferred. I mean, honestly, part of me is like, take the whole Cheryl Lee, Daniel Bowen stuff out, and the stuff between those two, I think, is the most interesting parts of the movie. Is kind of this slow, like, friendship between James Woods and Tim, the Padre there. See, and this stuff I find interesting. Like this, like more of this stuff. Like trying to build suspense. This guy's got to be the bait. You don't know where they're at. He's got to get this whole plan to get them into into the elevator. I think, yeah, Jason was freaking out. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? I mean, to have to do this for that many vampires, I mean, it seems like pretty pain in the ass way of doing it. I don't know. Ooh, got him. Yeah, that just seems such a complicated way of doing it, but it worked to that point. I mean, I will give credit. It's a different way of killing vampires. At least it's unique. At least it's somewhat original. Something different. Oh shit! Blew up. The damn doors open. So I'm not saying anything. It's kind of self-explanatory what's going on here. I think that's the line. You didn't tell me they could do that. I didn't know they could do that. I have to wonder if some of this other stuff is like ad libs, like the way he's like, "Come on, bitch." I have a feeling like he added the bitch and stuff of that nature. So, and then this here is pretty cool. He's being dragged with the vampire, and it's just shooting the hell out of it. Like stuff that stuff was pretty cool. Stabbing the hell out of it and just getting out of the way to have it explode. But okay, that's how many vampires was it? Like, so Dan, what was it? It was they killed the two to start with. Then they got two out of the elevator. So not a whole lot. That's a shill. That's a shillow of vampires. That's why you sure killed the bitch in the first place. Yeah, then yeah, James gets the shit out of him. Tim is going to hide in the shop. Yeah, he like ties him up and is like going to wait for something. I forget. Going to wait for this ritual to happen. For Daniel Ball, was like, I don't know what you expected. Yeah, Dan Baldwin should have figured it out. The dumbass. You dumb fuck. Yeah, it's weird. Watch this again. I don't like it as much as I thought. I mean, I liked it. I would give it maybe like a 3 out of 5. Mostly for James Woods and like technical aspects. And there's some good scenes. I think the beginning opens strong. I like the bit when they were dealing with the vampires. That whole segment. Feels like a movie that could have been a lot more, though. Could have been a lot more. I completely forgot Maximilian Schell showed up at the end. I guess it made sense. You know, they. Well, no. I remember it now. Well, yeah, I didn't remember it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that kind of reaction. Fucking pole sucking fashion victim. Come on, Tommy, you prick. How you turned on? Be tied up. See, much more of that. Much more of that would have been cool to see in this movie. They said it would have been a lot cool to see a lot more of that James Woods in this movie. But yeah, if the team was killed, and if it was James Woods and Tim Gwyney, and then throughout it, Tim kind of knows where to go, and it's like, well, how do you know where to go? And then he tells the full story. Okay, fine, you're now with the group. And then the two of them are on this journey together. And they go to certain spots, they kill vampires. Some close calls with Valak. He gets away, but they kill some vampires here, some vampires there. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm listening to the dialogue, so that's why I'm not saying anything. The blood of a crusader on a crucifixion. So yeah, that's why they keep him alive. That's what I wanted to hear. The explanation. Okay. Because I was trying to remember like why do they need him alive, but that's why. Part of the ritual. Yeah, because yeah, now that yeah, at the end, isn't it like okay, they gotta go in to clean up the vampire nest with James and Tim, and then it cuts away. We don't see them clean up the whole nest. It's like as they're entering, the movie ends. I'm like, what the fuck? What? We don't get to see that. Carpenter definitely liked his dissolves in this one. That's the thing. That I don't think he usually used dissolves in his movies, so definitely something a little bit different. Oop, there you go. Come on, Padre, my nuts on fire. I say, I mean, if you're on a cross, you drive like that, you gotta be careful not breaking your damn neck from the whiplash and stuff. Would you really want to throw the axe away? I mean, the bulls don't really do anything to them. I guess maybe to slow them down so they not all of them can get back to there. But here's like, okay, now they don't kill the rest of the vampires, and it's like, well, no, it's just this bit with Valak, and then pretty much it. So I don't really care about Daniel Baldwin against Cheryl Lee. Like I don't really care about any of that. Yeah, this film, man, it's not as good as I remember, man. I gotta say, it's not as good as I remember. It's okay. I almost want to do like 2.5 out of 5. I would still say 3. I can't. James Woods brings it up to that at least. Oh, this cross. But the 600 years is that dip working good? Can't tell him, huh? You want to bet? Good explosion, I'll say that. So I mean, the finale is like he jumps, James Woods, makes him get impaled, gets it to the wall, hits it through 2x4s, hits a post, gets sunlight end of it. I mean, maybe you say, well, what's the difference between that and Jerry Dandridge and the Fright Night? He's at the end. They try. It doesn't really work. Because I guess they miss the heart. Then they pull down the bits in the basement and he explodes. So I just that to be a fair point. So you got this little standoff. Sorry, I just. So don't give. You gave me 2 days, I'll give you 2 days. Just sounds fair enough. Hopefully they don't murder anybody in between. I mean, with all the people he'll murder, drink their blood is going to be on your hands. Can you imagine if that was the case? Like he says all this, he turns and bap, and then does that. It doesn't have to be in a happy way. It's just like, okay, he turns. I know. It's hard to do. But 2 days is a long time. Who knows how many people you could turn, kill, drink from. That, I mean, I would think that'd be a better way to do it. I remember when I first saw this, I groaned at the end of this. I'm like, what? We're not going to get to see them kill the rest of the vampires? What? How are we not going to get to see them kill the rest of the vampires? I remember being disappointed with that. And I'm sorry I didn't have much to say during this. Yeah, Jez DeHelsty, Mail Master number 4. Who gone, again, co-direct John Wick 1, did John Wick 2, 3, 4, and then Frank Darabont, Man with Buick. Jeff Amatis done corner, worked with Carpenter on Big Trouble in Little China, among other movies. But yeah, I guess I'll end it there. Yeah, this is crazy. Watch this again. Man, I thought this film was better than... It was better... It was better in my mind. I don't hate the film. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I hate the film. I don't. If I hate it, I would admit it. But man, it's one of those movies where it could have been a lot better. I mean, people say, $20 million budget still seems like a lot, where Carpenter, with what he's done in the past, was much less money. I don't know, man. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know what happened. I would say that the beginning was strong. James Woods is the MVP. He's great at it. How do I put it? I don't know. James Woods is great. I like Tim Guiney, the music, the cinematography, some of the camera work, utilizing practical effects and just practical effects. That stuff I really appreciate. That goes a long way, for me at least. It does go a long way. But just the middle portion goes so slow. The middle portion is kind of boring. It's rather boring in the middle. And a whole lot of nothing's happening. Just kind of exposition of the Black Cross. Exposition of, oh, she can see into Tamsin Griffiths, the telepathy thing. It said, okay, yeah, but come on, like, what else? Like, come on now. Seriously, this is what we're doing? Like, anything else to this? Like, what's the deal, man? I'm just waiting for something else to happen, but that's just me, I guess. But with that said, and like, feels like corners cut. Maybe again, if 2/3 of the budget was taken away before filming, then that would make sense. Does it feel like the ending isn't finished? Like, how are you gonna leave the audience like, wait a minute, we're not going to get to see? Which, I mean, Carpenter did that again in Ghosts of Mars, where you see Ice-T and Natasha Henstridge getting ready for battle. But I would say even Ghosts of Mars felt like it had more action. I don't know. I'd have to watch Ghosts of Mars again, but I'll be honest. Part of me may like Ghosts of Mars more than this movie. Because I don't hate Ghosts of Mars. I might like that more than this. I don't know. Like I said, if it wasn't for James Woods and the practical effects, I don't think I would like this movie. So, yeah, it's kind of weird watching it again. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.